And just like that, my grandfather was gone. He is definitely one of the most important people in my life. Although our relationship was more based on an understanding through not many words. Being immigrants from Finland, my grandparents' grasp of the English language was never strong. My grandfather definitely understood it better than my grandmother. But for both of them, as they got older, just through age and time, the language began to slip further and further, and they really started to understand it a lot less. And then their hearing starts to go, and then it's even more difficult to understand. My brother, my sister, and I, our conversations with our grandparents were very much minimal, very easy speaking English, and through a lot more action. But that lack of language might have been what caused a bigger bond between us. Through that, I could still feel his loyalty to his family, his generosity, his kindness, his want for fairness and equality and opportunity for everybody. That was really the core belief of this man, his entire life. One of my favorite examples of this with him goes a long way back. I was watching a Blue Jays game on TV, and he came and watched it with me. And in his very heavy accent, he said to me, "Erik, why do they throw the ball so fast? Why don't they throw slower so everybody gets a chance to hit the ball?" That's a very horrible accent, an imitation. But that just showed he just wanted everyone to get a fair chance. He was really the sweetest man I ever met. In his last handful of years, anytime I would visit him, the first thing we would usually say is we would ask each other if we were ready to fight each other. And he'd be like, "You ready to fight?" And we'd be like, "Oh, not today." That was always our starting off point for us. But really, one of the things, unfortunately, that I'm going to remember the most is that just before I left for this road trip, I went over and visited my grandparents at their apartment. And I told them I was going, and I think they knew. And as I was going to go, my grandmother said, "You have good life," which means, have a nice life or you do well or whatever she meant with that, which was the usual. And my grandfather said to me, "Oh, I probably never see you again." And I said, "Oh, no, I'm just going to be gone for about a month or so. I'll be back and I'll see you as soon as summer's over." "Oh, okay. I said, "Yeah, don't be talking like that." And I gave them a hug and I said, "I'll see you soon." And that was it. This news of my grandfather's passing just changed everything. So instead of finding open mics, now it was just get home as quick as possible. And as with everything that seems to be typical in my life, I related to music somehow. So the first thing I do after I hang up the phone is I put the Judds on, and I decide to listen to Grandpa tell me about the good old days. The following day was going to be dedicated again to another long day of driving. This time it was going to get me into Salt Lake City, and there was an open mic I was planning to play there that evening. And wouldn't you know it, about a half hour, 45 minutes out of Salt Lake City, in the Summit Park area, Kimball Junction area, the car starts to have yet another problem. Just driving along the highway, start going up a hill, and all of a sudden start losing power. Put my foot right to the floor, and it's actually decreasing in speed. So the four-way hazards go on, and we're just going to make our way slowly up the hill. This time, though, I'm actually really concerned, because now I feel like there's an alternator problem or a battery problem. I'm not really sure, and I just want to get into Salt Lake City. And just like it was in Nova Scotia, I know I was going to get into the city way too late, and I'd have to wait till the morning to get it to somebody. The car actually made it into Salt Lake City, and not only that, managed to coast it right into the parking lot of where the open mic was. I decided to call up a mechanic friend of mine who lives in the Fraser Valley. So I told him the issue, told him the vehicle, the make, the model, all the stuff he needed to know in the issue that was going on. He replied that the issue was with the timing chain, to which I said, well, that's fantastic news because I have a timing belt. To which his reply was, that's the problem. Your car doesn't have the timing chain. Your motor's going to blow, and you better get to a mechanic right away. Well, since there was nothing that could still be done that evening, I decided to go into the open mic.
Hi, my name's Eric. I'm traveling through Vancouver, British Columbia. Thank you. Just gonna play a song here that I wrote, and I'm going to dedicate it to my grandfather. It's just about traveling and seeing the open road, and I'm dedicating to him because I got a call yesterday when I was in Illinois that he passed away yesterday. So anyway, here we go.
People in my music community know me as Erik J. Matthews. I was born Erik Matthew Jalava. My grandfather's name was Matti, and that's Matthew in English. During the duration of this trip, I had been toying with the idea of what to call myself for a stage name. My last name, being Finnish, is a really good hockey name, but not very good as far as trying to pronounce it in a music sense. I chose to take my last name and just initialize it. That's where we get the J from. And then the Matthews comes from my middle name, which is the English version of my grandfather's first name. I chose that to honor his memory after his passing. Erik J. Matthews. That's where it came from. And for the last decade, that's how I've been known as in the music community. I always find it quite humorous when my father walks into a club that I'm playing at and people greet him as Mr. Matthews.
Look to rely on a moment instead of a torture tattoo. And I'm running too long